Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good evening and welcome to my podcast. We're here to fight CPS and stop taking our children. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host tonight. And I just realized that Mr. Davis was talking about next Saturday. That happens to be my birthday. The 16th, I'll be 3/4 of a century old. It's interesting. Some places in the world don't let you work past 50. Excuse me, I'm sneezing. I was a little late coming on tonight because I had software updates. You know how software comes on. They automatically want to do the update right when you want to do your show. And I tried to delete them and stop them, and you had to wait for them to go through the routine. It comes up every once in a while. But normally, I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time. I think I blew too hard and blew myself off the screen. There we go. And that's 7 days a week that I do this podcast. I've been doing it for over a year. That's 14 shows a week. So if you miss me in the morning, I'm on in the evening. Now, there's some exceptions. Like on Sunday, every Sunday I start tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock because I have church I go to. So I need to go to church, so I do my show 2 hours earlier. On Saturday is Vincent's show, so I'll be doing it early because it gives him a chance to have more people during his podcast. Now, he gave you some exciting news about his upcoming podcast, question and answers. It's very imperative you mark on your calendar next Saturday at 10 o'clock. It's free, and you'll learn all there is to know about CPS. And it's a chance of Vincent Davis helping you all. I, too, am trying to help you with CPS. I, unfortunately, was caught up in CPS myself. And it happened at the wrong time in my life. You know, I've been already working for 45 years, and I was age 60 in the summer of 2010. And I started getting these allegations that were constantly asking me we weren't feeding our children, weren't taking care of our children, weren't taking them to school, weren't clothing or bathing our children. You know, it's all this ridiculous stuff. I did not know at the time it was my in-laws that were calling from Ohio to California and telling the CPS outfit these false allegations. If I knew then, I would never have gone through all that. But it's sad because lay people do a lot of false allegations. There's two kinds of people who report it: lay people and professional people. Professional people are like your doctors, your nurses, your teachers, your administrators, your principal, the counselor, the caregiver, the police, the fire. They all go and take special classes of how to report neglect and abuse and, what to look for and so forth. And they're very professional when they do it. But the lay people don't do that. They've not been through a lot of that training, and they've used it for alternative motives these days. For instance, they don't like the way the neighbor's grass or maybe the bushes are growing on your side, so they retaliate and make up some story that's not true. Or their dog barks all the time and bothers you, and you want to, get a hold of CPS. Getting hold of CPS is stupid. It causes problems with everybody because I'm afraid to tell you that CPS is corrupt. Now, over 600 some people I've been talking to this past year, and all their cases, 99%, they're false allegations. On top of that, their children were immediately taken. My children were in too. They were in imminent danger. They're in school. How's being in school imminent danger? Anyway, it was a horrible experience for me to get through, and I want to share it with you all, my experience. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been fighting them for 15 years. I've learned very much. I learned a lot from Vincent Davis, who's been fighting them for 35 years. He's a trial attorney, and he has schooled in the juvenile family dependency law. It's real important you understand that. A lot of you will get the wrong attorneys, and you'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars the wrong attorneys. You don't want a criminal attorney. You don't want a real estate attorney or an immigration attorney or workman's comp attorney. You need someone that has a background in dependency law dealing with families and juveniles. That's what you need. Also, it's very important. One of the first questions you want to ask an attorney is, is their background in dependency, family, juvenile law? If the answer is yes, the second question to them that you should make, have you ever sued CPS in state or civil court and won your case? I'm talking about a civil lawsuit. If the answer is yes, then you got yourself a good attorney, because one of the things I've seen filtering through attorneys, not many attorneys want to sue CPS or fight CPS. You need a fighter. Vincent's done it. He has sued them, and he's won millions of dollars both in state and federal court. And he's a trial attorney. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that podcast. He also has other podcasts during the week. Fight CPS and Win is one of them. That's one of his podcasts. Then he has work hours. But there's a lot of podcasts on here that are free that will help you with your case. And if you miss something in the morning, you can go with me in the evening. I'll talk about it. Also, I let everybody in my room interact with this podcast. Now, you found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS Bob Pace. And I'm broadcast on YouTube using the StreamYard application. Now, what CPS is meant to me is the child protection system everywhere in every state and every county. They're going to have different names for you. In Arizona, it's Department of Children's Services. In Richmond, Kentucky, it's the Cabinet. And in California, it's the Child Protection Services. So when I say CPS, I mean all of them, the child protection system. And they were mandated by Congress, a branch of social service, to watch and protect our children from neglect and abuse. And that's really important. It's a very complication, this CPS. They're understaffed. Some of the agencies have found ways to make trillions of dollars and abuse the system. So you have a lot of different things going on with CPS, depending where you're from and so forth. But you got to be careful about them, because my case, they didn't care about me as a family man. They retaliated against our daughter. They hurt me and my wife. We've been, married 32 years. We have 6 beautiful children, 3 younger children, 1 in the teens, 2 in the 20s, 2 in the 30s, and then 1 in the 40s. Unfortunately, our family's kind of fallen back since CPS got involved. It was bad the first 5 years because I had lost my job in 2010 through no fault of my own. It's scary when you losing a job at the age of 60, but it's even more scary when you lose your children at the age of 65. Through no fault of your own, because you're struggling. You're struggling with income. You don't have money to hire an attorney. You don't have money to do all the things they ask you to do. It's really scary. They take advantage of people that are in hard times and low income. They prey on those kind of individuals. They want you to take their court-appointed attorneys. They want your both parents and the children to have court-appointed attorneys because they can control the outcome of the case. The court-appointed attorney, has caseload of 30 or more clients. They're not going to have time to fight your case. They don't even have time to talk to you. My court-appointed attorney was terrible. I met her at the steps of the courtroom. You're not allowed in Orange County to go into the courtroom, which I think is wrong. You should be able to be in the room every step of your way. Also, there should be a jury trial in CPS cases. They don't have a jury trial. You are actually guilty, and you have to prove you're innocent. Every other court of law, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. And it's done by jury trial. But there's nobody judgment. It's all entrusted to some very sick individuals, and I can say that. Because a lot of the child protection people are like that. Just to wake you guys up what kind of social workers are, I'll tell you about 8 ladies. They had worked for social services and CPS for a total of 25 years. Now, they're from Prescott, Arizona. And where is Prescott? Well, it's a small town. It's known for the Billy Jack movies. There was 4 movies in the 60s and 70s about an activist that was trying to protect children without fathers or mothers. He had a school that he ran, he and his wife, and then also he tried to protect Indian people, the reservations. There's several reservations there in Prescott. He was a martial arts expert, and he had one thing where he went to Washington, and it's right at the time when the Wounded Knee incident resurfaced again. There's 2 battles at Wounded Knee. The last one, it was in 74, and it was part of the AIM, the American Indian Movement, AIM. And anyway, Prescott had these 8 social workers decide to go out and purchase pink T-shirts. Now, the word pink is related to breast cancer awareness, but they weren't promoting breast cancer awareness. In fact, what they did is they stenciled on the front professional child kidnappers, and on the back they put, "Parents, do you know where your children are at?" This is in the 2022 in Prescott, Arizona, and they parade around Walmart, Costco, Kmart, Sears, Penny's, Best Buys, Target, all the big department stores. And it sent a very clear message what CPS really is in that town. Well, they fired him along with the director in charge of that DCS office. Now, what happened, though, when they fired everybody, they only left one person left. And that one person could not manage all the phone calls, all the investigations, or all what has to be done protecting our children. So Prescott's children were at risk. And that's the sad part. There are thousands of children. Every day they're at risk. They're being harmed. And CPS is not watching them all. And lately they've found a better way to make money off you parents. That's why they love low-income parents, because they get the children from you into foster care, which is corrupt. You get abuse in foster care. You're abused by the social workers. They want money. In my case, my 3 children were taken, and they were getting paid $20,000 per child. That's 3 children. That's $60,000. And it was so sad that they were paid, excessive amount of money for incentives and bonuses. My social worker talked about, oh, look at all my eyelashes and accessories and my BMW or my Gucci purse you get every week, or her clothing. That's all she talked about. She was young. She didn't have a high school education. She didn't have a college degree, and she didn't have a license. And she wasn't even mentoring anybody. She just threw it into there and told loosely how to handle CPS. She wasn't married. She had no family. She had no experience with parenting classes or the drug programs or all the other programs that they have there in CPS. So sadly, my case was terrible. My case was really terrible. And those pink ladies, sent a clear picture out there. And that's not one incident. I can name a half a dozen incidents. Now, there are 4 ways to interact with this podcast. One way is just by being in this room. A second way is to text me a message, asking a question or making a comment. A third way is to be a guest on my podcast. I can have up to 9 guests. All you do is you email the date and the time you want. I'll give more information about these things. The fourth one is you can call in. I have a number, an office number that works on Vonage. That's a software application. You can call in and talk live. Now, those are the 4 ways that you can interact with this podcast. Also, I have 5 rules made. Rule 1 is you need to get an attorney. And I've already talked a little briefly about an attorney. 2, you need to organize a notebook and put all your paperwork. And a very important form you need to fill out is called a timeline incident log. It's a list of all the incidents between you and social workers, or you and the police, or you and the school people, or the children, or anybody else. You make a list. You make a timeline, and there's specific things. And again, I'll talk about that too. And then my third rule is that you need to know that you should not let them in your house. You don't need to answer your door. You don't need to talk to them, whether you're outside or inside. And you also need to know about medical trafficking, where you bring your children into urgent care or emergencies so they're taken from you by social workers. Or you come in to have a baby and your baby is ripped from your umbilical cord. I know that's gross, but they've done things like that. Now I have my rule number 4 is you need to do research. Everything I learn is doing research or talking to people. And the internet is how you organize your wording. And you got to spend 60 hours. And lastly, you got to collect all the documents that are important. Your birth certificates, your marriage certificates, your social security cards for your children, the shot records, the medical records, any medical history on yourself, the school records, the school report cards, all those things. And you need to collect it all, put it in an envelope or a folder. And they can be copies, but you need to have it with you along with that notebook. Those are 2 important documents you need to have. And you need to do this right out of the gate because you need to start planning to get yourself an attorney. So those are my 5 rules, but I'll talk to them more in depth. Right now, I want to see what the flavor of the room is, meaning I want to know what you guys would like to do in this podcast. Do you want me to talk about my case more? Do you want me to talk about the social workers, what they are? Do you want me to talk about a CPS worker or talk about how they do things? Or I have over 100 tabs have opened up, like the 388 motion or the ICWA, the 1978 Act of the Indian Child Welfare Act. There's lots of things I can do. And I'd like you all to be a part of this podcast, either by calling in or texting and be a part of it. Interacting is important. Also, there's people that I've talked to that have been regulars on my podcast. Oh, boy. Ugh. So I'm open. I have something called Course Digest. It's a thing I subscribe to, and they have questions about CPS, and they have answers, and I discuss it with you all. And that's kind of interesting, too. I know everybody's had a long week. We have a new president-elect, and I hope some things will change and get better. I hope we can restore back to some normalcy. Elections were very tiring on us, and we have a really upside-down world. We have a lot of frictions in a lot of places. A lot of frictions. Well, I have about 10 people in my room, and I also have 8 rooms that are linked to this room. And when you find me on CPS, you'll see the different rooms that I have. And it's fine that you found there, but you'll come to this room here, and all the comments will be in here. So if you text me a message, a question, or a comment, it'll be here. Now, these rooms that we have one is called the CPS Defense Strategy. Now, that's a YouTube room. Another one is Fight CPS with Bob Pace. That's my room. Another one is Juvenile Dependency. One other one is Law Office of Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's the name of his law firm. Another one is Fight CPS Real Talk with Mrs. G. Then there is The Secret How to Fight CPS and Win, which is Vincent Davis's room. Then there's the reality series of CPS. And then there is the Relatives Fight for CPS. So we try to draw you in and then help you with your case. Now, this is recorded, so you can hear me again if you miss something. This is recorded. You can hear me in if you miss something. Hold on one second. Okay. Now, what you're looking at scrolling across the bottom of my screen is a way to talk to Mr. Davis for very little money. You can book a discounted Zoom consultation with attorney Vincent Davis for up to 30 minutes. And all you have to do is go to a website. It's https://candidly, CANDLY.com/apps, APPTS, VWD/Bob Pace. And when you do there, you can book a private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes. For 30 minutes. And you can, you only have to pay $60. That's a special rate I got with Mr. Davis. A special rate that I got with him. So going there is one way. I mean, there are 5 ways that you can speak to Mr. Davis real quickly. There's this way for $60 for 30 minutes. There's my office number, 888-888-6582 on my screen. That number is up there. That takes you to the office. And if you want to book Mr. Davis, you can go right ahead. That's the office. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And that if you want to retain Mr. Davis, you can, or one of his other attorneys of his law firm. He covers immigration law, real estate law, workman's comp law, criminal law, divorce law. He has it all. So, if you need a lawyer for specific things, I know getting a lawyer is expensive. I've been there. I know what it is. But I say it's like open heart surgery. If you're going to do open heart surgery, are you going to let a plumber work on you? Are you going to let a bottle washer work on you? No, you're going to get a professional, a doctor that's gone to medical school, that's done internship, that has gotten a license, that is being mentored another doctor before he performs open heart surgery. Same goes for the dependency law, for CPS. You're going to get an attorney trained in juvenile and family dependency law. Someone's been around, someone's a fighter, someone's won cases. And Vincent Davis is one of the best in the country. He works out of Arcadia, which is south of Los Angeles, but he has cases in Orange County, LA County, San Bernardino County, Riverside County, and he has a case in Northern California, Shasta County, and he has a case in Oklahoma. He also has other cases in other states. He'll do other states. It's just that when he goes out of state or out of the area, he has per diem that he has to cover, such as ground transportation, airfare, the hotel, the accommodations, and then the food. Now, I got him, and he was my attorney, but I had to sell my house to do so because I needed to get money for the retainer. And I know that's a hard decision, but to me, it's sad. I don't have my house anymore, and right now I live in a very small apartment, very crowded together, and it's like 1/10 of what I used to have in my home. And I'm slowly trying to repatch up my family and bring my family back together. I'm so thankful I still have my faith in God. And I still have two of our younger children. We lost one child, and that was a tragedy in itself. If you want to be further reinforced on what a social worker is, all you have to do is think about my wife and I social worker. This lady was being asked by Vincent Davis when she was on the stand because my wife's sister and her husband were trying to adopt our young daughter, who was 12 at the time. And we didn't want that to happen. And Mr. Davis was asking some questions to the social worker. And one of the things he asked, what kind of parents is your wife's sister and husband? Also, had there been any domestic violence? Well, she said they're great parents. And no, there's never been domestic violence. Well, she committed perjury, which is lying on the stand. She was under oath and she lied. So Mr. Davis got out a folder in his briefcase. It was about, a half-inch thick with about 30 reports. And he started reading the reports to her. And they all were domestic violent reports from the police. And they all were extreme physical reports. And the social worker was dumbfounded. She could get caught in her lies. And she could be sued. If I had the retainer of $50,000, she would have been sued. But she left. She was very embarrassed. And my wife's sister and husband lost the case to adopt our daughter. But that social worker wasn't done with us. She retaliated. You see, these social workers are so bad, she retaliated. And what she told me and my wife, you're never going to see your daughter again. And what she did, she had her emancipate from our family. Emancipate, because at 12 years of age in the state of California, you can divorce your mom, divorce your dad, divorce your siblings. Like she has two brothers. She divorced them. She divorced her grandparents, both sets, and her aunts and uncles and cousins. The whole thing was divorced from. And then the social worker told her, because our daughter didn't know any better, to change her name, to eliminate the beautiful name she had. She had a beautiful name for a middle name that represented one of the beautiful places in the world. But she had it since birth. That's the name that we gave her. And then she was told to seal her birth certificate so that she could get another birth certificate from the foster people that she's going to have them adopt her. This was all orchestrated by the social worker in retaliation. That really hurt. That really hurt. She's 22 now. She doesn't want to talk to us as parents. Luckily, she still talks to her two brothers. We encourage my two sons to keep in touch with her and see her, as well as the other siblings of our family. But they believed everything that Trace's mom and dad and sister said and brothers said. It was terrible. People are so naive. They believe lies and rumors. They do. And what was so sad about it is that my family was broken up. And we were a loving family. Yes, we had some disagreements. I was struggling to find work, but it wasn't something that could be helped. You see, when I thought what the child protection system is that not only is supposed to protect you from neglect and abuse, they're also supposed to help families in need in the areas of food stamp, shelter, clothing, transportation, medical, educational, and even finding a job, getting a job. That's what they're supposed to do. And furthermore, if they take the family apart, which it did in my case, they're supposed to do family reunification. But they didn't do any of that. All they did is take the money month after month. Now, my wife and I, it got a really complicated case because not only did the social workers charge anything, they contacted the police. The police was like a puppet with the social workers. The social workers controlled the police. The police detective came out and mimicked everything the social workers did. So they had criminal charges against us too, which I got them to be all dropped. But that took a year. Meanwhile, our kids were put into they were put into foster care where they were hurt and abused. Their feelings were messed up. They were taught not how to love parents. It was terrible. They bounced around from the shelter to family members to a group home to the individual homes. Anyway, that's all in the past, and I'm just telling you, it was sad. I lost our daughter. Not only that, I lost my home because I had to sell it to get there, and my credit was turned bad. So here I'm trying to fight, getting a job at my age like a dinosaur. But I will. We have a new chance now. We have a president. He's 78 years old. So if he can work at 78, I can work at 75. There should be no problem about me getting work. I'm talking about a full-time career work. Now, I think the rooms have filtered in. I got to make sure that people's comments are not mixed between the rooms. The rooms will have messages and they come in, the 8 rooms, and some of them come in repeatedly. KK Richardson, Akima, hi. You just came on. I'm a little late, recognize you. Oh boy, am I late, recognize you. I'm so glad to hear from you. She's got a case coming up on, I think on the 18th, where she's working to get back her children. She's from New York and she's from the Bronx in New York. I think that's where she's from. KK, is there anything you'd like to ask tonight or call in or talk about anything? She has called in before. So I'm so glad to see you, KK. Anything new that you can tell us or anything there? A warm welcome to Kay. I don't see our other people in the room. In fact, they've been kind of absent the last couple days. I don't know. I know Faye's had a lot of issues that she's trying to do there too. So okay, I see Royal Writings. Hello. You were on this morning, and welcome back. Welcome back. I forgot where you're from. Where you're from. And I welcome you, Royal. Oh, I think I know where you're from, Royal. You're from England. And I think you're from, oh boy, trying to name of the town. They're from England. But by the way, we have people from around the world that come in here because this is a worldwide podcast. I have people from Bangladesh, from New Delhi, India, from the Middle East, such as Liberia and Saudi Arabia. Then I have the continent of Africa, which is Liberia and Rwanda on the east central coast. Liberia is on the north coast, west coast of Africa. Rwanda is central east coast near Lake Victoria, and then Mozambique on the east coast opposite Madagascar, and then the west coast province of South Africa. Then I've had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and Denmark and Sweden. And then over the pond to North America, I've had Canada. We had Canada just this past day or two, and it was nice. And I've spoken to a lot of the provinces in Canada on the east and west coast. I've also talked to every 50 state, including Washington, D.C., and have had text comments or conversations. So I have a good representation of where CPS is good or bad. Then south of the border, I've had Mexico, and then further south in South America, I've had Grenada, what is east of Venezuela, north of Brazil on the east coast. And then across the Pacific, the land down under, I've had Australia. And I had Australia not too long ago. On the east coast, the Gold Coast, Sydney area, New South Wales. And then the south coast, the Melbourne area, is Victoria, state of Victoria. So I have people from around the world. And I believe that Royal is from England. And he was on this morning here. Now, since some of you are texting in, I think it's a good time to talk about how to text in a comment or a question. And so what I did is I put up on my screen that when typing in the message, either your comment or your question about CPS questions, please show me your name or your county, your city or your county, and then your state. Now, if you're outside of the state, like in another country, also include the province or the state or the country, along with your city and your first name. Then ask you to be complete with your CPS case, and that means how your family structure is set up. You know, are you a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend? Are you lovers? Are you just a partnership? And then, are both parents involved? Are you a single parent? And are there many different parents of the children? And then, what are the ages of the children and the sexes of children? And how were they taken besides neglect and abuse? A little bit more detail. And then, how were they taken? What I mean by that is, you know, did you give them up? Did they come to your home? Did you take them to the office? How do you do that? And then where are you at on your case? Where are you at on your case? Is there any question for you, Royal or KK? I know you're in the room and there's like 9, 8 more of you there. Now, this room that you're in, you can do emojis. You can do thumbs up, smiley faces, hearts. You can send me stars if you like what you're hearing. Also, please check below the follow me and write reviews. And also, if you want to be notified, check the notification button. And I've already talked about the second way is by texting messages. The third way is to be a guest on my podcast. Now, I mentioned that quite earlier, but to be a guest, you're going to contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scenes. And you just email her with one of my dates and times you want to be on. There's 14 shows. So I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Saturday night show, or the Wednesday morning show, or the Tuesday night. And then she'll take care of the rest. She'll send you a link to StreamYard and save it, because you may be knocked off. You need to put yourself back on. The link is still good. Also, she'll tell you what you can do and not do. Things like there's no eating or smoking on the podcast. And we do not use the names of children, judges, or social workers. And then she'll talk about the sound and the lighting. And boy, my voice not good tonight. And anything else, plan to use a computer. If you have only a phone, then that's okay. And one thing is nice, as a guest, I can take up 9 of you, and you can see all the comments and help me answer the questions and whatnot. Now, lastly, you can call into the show, and it goes right to my phone. My office number is 626-698-0990. I'll go directly to my phone. And it's live. You can only talk to me during my show times. If you call me before my show hours or after my show hours, I can't answer the call. So those are the 4 ways you can interact. Now, with phone calls and being a guest, you're eligible for another 15 minutes of free time with Vincent Davis. I already told you about the 30 minutes for $60, but now you can actually have 15 minutes with Mr. Davis. All you have to do is be on the podcast or call in, and you will qualify for 15 minutes of free time with Mr. Davis, a Zoom meeting. Once it's verified, I'll have you contact my show producer. That's Grace at VincentWDavis.com. That's Grace at VincentWDavis.com. That's where you'll send in one of the shows you pick, and also you want to send in your name, phone number, and email, and she'll get that set up with you. So try to be a guest or try to call in, because it'll benefit you. It'll be beneficial to you. Now, we've had Akima Richardson, also known as KK, from Brooklyn, New York, calling. She's been a long time participant in this podcast. We have a new person from England, Royal Writings, and I'm glad to see him in. He has a terrible case in England where they took his children and his rights and stuff. It was really sad there. Now, I have I showed to me about 15 minutes of my show time. I know the podcast goes to 8 o'clock, but I'm going to go over a little bit because I'll make sure you get a full hour. A full hour. It was not your fault with the internet. It was not your fault with the internet. This is Bob Pace. Hello, this is Bob Pace.
Hi, it's Kimberly.
No, this is not Kimberly. This is Bob Pace.
Hi, yep. I'm calling in. We spoke before.
Oh, okay. And who's this I'm talking to? Is this Kimberly?
Yes.
Great. And where are you from, Kimberly?
Illinois.
Okay. All right. And what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, I had a few questions.
Go ahead.
There's constant argument. You'll call a civil rights attorney, and these are deprivation of rights and things that are going on. But most civil rights attorneys won't take the cases. For one, until you get the kids back. But the problem is that they're lying, manipulating, breaking the law, breaking your rights, and they're doing this, and they're not intending on giving your kids back, and you're not going to get them back. Plus, there's a time limit to when you can sue somebody.
Well, there is statute of limitations, but all the statute of limitations have other reasons. I've heard where people have gone after the statute of limitations gone and have sued them. Now, in order to sue somebody, your case has got to be completed with CPS. And you should file a lawsuit when it's completed right away. And it has to be where they maybe committed perjury, where they lied on the stand, or where they did something wrong in your case. Just because they don't like you, or you can't sue them for everything. The best way is know your constitutional and your civil rights. Those are suable offenses.
Right.
So,
I would say, lying in court documents by saying that the children's therapist said that my children could have a choice, by withholding the information where she was reporting abuse in the homes and had concerns of the placement, withholding her from me. She finally reached out and spoke to me. She wrote a letter to me for the court, and it very much proves that they've been lying and withholding my children against the court order, which was court-ordered visitation, by utilizing that lie. And then I did get a visit with my children, and I recorded that visit with just me and my children in the room. And my children completely told on them. She said, "Mom, I've been wanting to see you for a long time. They said you're a bad mommy, that you don't love us, that you let Eric hurt Aiden, and things like that." But they really went to extremes. And then on top of it, there's federal laws being broken. The federal law does not say that an interstate compact has to be done for a non-biological party. However, it does have to be done for it says it doesn't have to be done for a biological party, but it does for a non-biological person. And this person has 36 violent arrest records, and some of those DUIs with those children in the car, assaulting me during the pregnancy of his child, assaulting the chief of police, trying to get to his child, one of my children, after he was told to stay away from us. It was pretty extreme. Arkansas went to the extent to say, "I will never approve him to have custody." The child should have never been there. The child is still there 6 months later. And that's a federal law. I have rights to that child. He does not.
Okay.
He tested positive for cocaine and heroin. And out of 13 drug tests, he only showed up to 3. One was cocaine positive. The other one was heroin positive. The other one was alcohol positive, but he admitted to being an alcoholic. And he's had about 12 DUIs recently and has warrants for his arrest in Arkansas. And he has now warrants in Illinois. So when they placed this child there, he just tested positive for heroin.
Uh-huh.
He's not even the father. He's never been married to me. He's never had custody. And he abandoned his own children for 2 years.
Okay.
I listen to these stories over about these people who've been through hell, and DCFS withholds their children. It's extremely traumatizing. And I've yet to find somebody that sues DCFS for doing this, because it's completely mentally and emotionally abusive to the parent and the child. And it's neglectful.
Okay. Yeah, that is hard. Now, I'm getting close to the end of my podcast. I still got about 9 more minutes. I have a question. Would you want to speak to Mr. Davis for 50 minutes at no cost to have what he can help you with?
Absolutely.
But I need 3 things from you. I need your full name, your email, and your phone number. That and the thing is, you can text it to me right now at the number you're calling from. Can you do that?
Yeah.
So that would keep it privacy for you, so you don't have to worry about people hearing more than you want to have them hear.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All you
I'm
do.
doing it now. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just my email and
Your full name.
My name.
Right. And your phone number. Now, I have the phone number that shows up on my screen. Is that the number I should use?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, well, then I don't need your phone number because I have it. All I need then is your full name. I know your first name is Kimberly, but then I also need to know your email.
Okay. Yeah, I sent it to you.
Okay.
You know, and there's other things like, the CAC child forensic interviews show that children are in an abusive home.
Hello, and thank you for your call. We're sorry that no one is currently available to speak with you at this time. We are assisting other patrons away from our desk, or we may be currently closed. In order to help us serve you better, we greatly appreciate any feedback you can provide. If you're calling to request that you be placed on our do not call list, please take a...
I'm sorry, I got put you on hold. I was trying to get your information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see what happened here. I'm trying to see where is it? I'm not seeing it. Hold on a second. Oh, I know why. It's the calls. That's what it is. There it is. I see your name. I see your email. I see your phone number. Thank you so much there. Okay, we got that part taken care of.
Okay.
Now, there's about 8 minutes. Now, I know you said you've spoken to me before, and I know Illinois is one of the bad states with CPS there. Where you at on your case? I mean, where you at right now in your case?
So they gave me a case plan. It was get a psychological evaluation, parenting, in your domestic violence classes. Of course, continue in my therapy. I've been in therapy since 5. Continue on my psych meds. I've been on that since 5 since I was diagnosed ADHD at 5. Then they added on get a parenting capacity evaluation after they said the social worker who was on the case said she approved this place I went to go get a psych eval. She named the place and she wrote it as successful. Got a new case manager. She said, no, you didn't go to a DCFS approved one. And it didn't have a parenting capacity eval in it, which it never originally stated. So they added that. And then they made me wait 6 months to do the psych eval, which I completed the psych eval. And the psych eval came back with no problem. I had PTSD. But we already knew that, the drug use I used to have back in the day, I think it was 2015. I've been sober since 2015. It's in complete remission and is no longer a concern. I passed all my drug tests. I've done hair strands. I've done like 20 drug tests. I've got stable housing for over a year. So everything is completed. But I'm still at 1 hour a month, which is not even the constitutional minimum.
Wow.
Yeah. And they don't even show up because the foster parents, They had to go camping for that 1 hour a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And my ex from Arkansas with the other three, he never shows up. No call, no show. Even though it's court ordered. I haven't seen those kids in a year and a half.
Yeah.
I have court ordered visits.
Right. One moment, Kimberly.
That's not a deprivation of rights. I don't know what.
Right. One moment, Kimberly. I want to speak to Shantana Flores, who just texted a message to me. She says, I need help.
Okay.
I'm not a drug addicted or criminal. CPS kidnapped my daughter and lied to the cops about me and my husband's arguing when we weren't. There's no abuse in the home. Shantana, can you call in tomorrow at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and talk about your case? You can either be a guest on my podcast by get a hold of my show producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and tell what show time you want to be on. Or you can text in a message. We can talk further. I need to know where you're from, Shantana Flores, but I'm running short of my time. I have Kimberly on the phone from Illinois that I'm going to be wrapping up with here. And I have about 4 minutes left. So I give everybody a good hour. I had a little bit a hard start tonight because of a software update on my computer. Okay, you're from Arizona. All right. I hope you're not from that crazy town of Prescott where they have the pink ladies, that terrible place there. Anyway, Shantana, if you could call in tomorrow or text a message tomorrow at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Sunday night, or be a guest on my podcast. You can arrange that with Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Okay, Tucson, Arizona. You're not from Prescott. Good. Okay, Tucson, Arizona. Well, that's the Department of Children's Services. I'd like to help you, but I need to go back to Kimberly here because there's not much time. I'm sorry you guys come in so late at the end of the show, but, I'm on at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So try to get the later part. So when is your next court date or what's your next action you need to do? Kimberly?
Well, here's the thing. The judge took the placement hearing was contested because there's case law that this last year that said the judge had no right to place the children once DCFS had guardianship. Because 4 days after he granted DCFS guardianship, he did a supplemental order where he placed children, and we kind of appealed it. We did appeal with the trial judge, not the appellate court, and we entered in the new case law. The judge brought up the case law, which is really weird, and we set a hearing. We had an argument on it. The ICPC had come back, obviously denied it was never going to be approved. The DCFS was, standing up on my side about that. They were like, we never wanted the children down there. This was against our will. And he's refusing to let the children see each other or the parents. So, he said he was going to take it under advisement, and we didn't get another court date. I haven't got one set yet. It's been a month.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you and I can still talk some more. And when you ask Mr. Davis, you want to use those 15 minutes to their best. And so that you get what you're looking for on that there. So we got some time to work with your case. Are you using a real attorney or are you using a court-appointed attorney?
So I paid $40,000 in attorneys, and I really had a good DCFS attorney. And, at the adjudication hearing, like I said, my husband strangled a 9-year-old, and I called the police and gave them the ring footage and had him put in jail. But they still took the kids from me.
Right.
But, at the adjudication hearing, they were trying to say I endangered the child because I should have physically assaulted my husband instead of, just calling the police or getting divorced or filing a restraining order or making him stop by telling him to stop it, which he did stop. They
Yeah.
should have physically got into an altercation with a baby in my arms, a 4-year-old baby. But they felt I should have done more. So at the adjudication hearing, we went into an agreement that we stipulated to my husband's actions because CPS was putting that number 16 torture there and saying they were charging me with everything that he had done and saying that and then putting allowed next to it. And in the pamphlet, it says number 16 is torture. It's not torture allowed. So they kind of changed the word, but they were trying to fly this. And so we agreed to stipulate what my husband did. We stated that on the record. But then the judge entered into his own opinion. And then when they did the printout of what the judgment was, that is not what at all was said on the record. And I asked him to appeal, not Pawtucket, and appeal it. And he says, I don't do appeal. Now, because I had a record, I couldn't file my own appeal.
Yeah, because you have to relieve your attorney. You got to relieve your attorney. I know what you're going through.
But he told me, he said, you need to appeal it. Now you go file your appeal. I don't do them.
Well.
And I was blocked because the clerk would not let me file into my case. And as of right now, I've asked a pro se. I've asked for a discovery from the clerk via email several times, and they refused to give it to me. The judge reprimanded me. He kicked out any of the evidence, like the child therapist note and all the domestic violence history with my ex and all that. He kicked out the Arkansas orders and all that. He kicked out the evidence. He told me, you're not allowed to file outside your attorney again. You do it again, I'll hold you in contempt.
Yeah. Wow.
So they completely blocked me from entering evidence that was very valid. But they have copies of this evidence. They just didn't put it on the record. Yeah,
I got to curtail our show because I've gone over 61 minutes. So even though stuff like that, but I want you to know that I really appreciate you calling in, and we'll work out something here. I got you a free session with Vincent Davis for 15 minutes. I sent it to my show producer, and she will contact you. Okay?
Yeah. Any advice before you go on what information that I need to give him based on what I've given you?
Well, I would stick with the most hot topics. You got 15 minutes, so you can tell them that you have an attorney representing you, but you have questions regarding your appeal and statute of limitations. And you make sure you tell them you're from Illinois, so he doesn't have to guess. So you want to make sure you tell him as much information that your husband caused the action and so forth. You spend like 1 minute describing.
I feel like right now, if Mr. Vince Davis just entered in on the case for like the federal suit of deprivation of rights, I think if he just entered something, they would drop everything and probably make him an offer.
Yeah, I know that it was like that. But I don't want to say this, but I need to end my show. But thank you, Kimberly, from Illinois. I want to thank all my people. KK Akima Richardson from New York. And I want to thank also Shantana Flores from Tucson, Arizona. I hope to talk to you again. I want to thank Royal Sylvain from England. I forgot what the city you are in there in England, but thank you also. God bless you all. Do not stop fighting, and you will get your kids back. This is Bob Pace signing off. Remember, there'll be a little blurb after I sign off from Mr. Davis. So write down those websites. Also, tomorrow morning, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.